73-year-old Gregor and 72-year-old Irma 6 lived in Canberra, Australia in 1999. On the night of November 6, 1999, two masked men forced their way into the Pick Grover Crescent home at around 9:30 p.m. The couple was bound with cable ties to their eyes and savagely beaten before the men ransacked their home, stealing cash and jewelry. Gregor managed to free himself and call the police, but Irma suffocated on her own blood and lost her life at the scene. Detective Sergeant Craig Marriott recalled the event. They were assaulted, bound with cable ties, duct tape, and a telephone cord, and the house was ransacked after a period of what is estimated to be about an hour. Mr. Pick, who had been in and out of consciousness, was able to free himself from his bindings and found his wife face down in the hallway. He rolled her over and removed her bindings, but she had passed away. She had effectively drowned in her own blood from a broken nose. Detectives who started investigating the case found that the Picks were also victims of aggravated burglaries in 1997 and 1998, which are thought to be linked to the third fatal break-in. Police made it known that they believed someone in Melbourne's Hungarian community could hold vital information on who was responsible for what happened to Irma. Investigators found DNA evidence at the crime scene, but with DNA technology not being as advanced in 1999, there was little they could do. In 2012, a $500,000 reward was offered for anyone able to help the police secure a successful conviction. In the case of 2019, investigators decided to take another look at the case. DNA technology was now a lot more advanced. Almost immediately, a DNA match was established through the National Crime Investigation DNA database. DNA testing led investigators to Stevie Fabrizi. It took a while to track Fabrizi down. When he was questioned by investigators on September 8, 2023, Fabrizi made partial admissions to his involvement in the incident. He admitted being on the premises for the purpose of the burglary and gave details of the burglary that were not known publicly. 68-year-old Steve Fabrizi from Melbourne was then subsequently arrested and charged with taking the life of Irma Palix. Fabrizi faced Dandong Magistrates Court on September 21, 2023, where he applied for release on bail. The opposing bail detective, Sergeant Craig Marriott, told the court that police had serious concerns that Fabrizi, also known as István Fabrizi, could flee the country if released, as he is a dual citizen of Hungary. Marriott said they also feared the 68-year-old might interfere with witnesses, with his alleged co-offender still on the run. The court heard that while Fabrizi owns his own home in Australia, he has no family there. The police were aware that he planned to return to Hungary, where he owns land upon his retirement. Fabrizi also has about $250,000 in savings, Marriott said, creating further concern that he had the means to leave Australia. I am also aware he has made statements to Victoria Police, while in custody, about wanting to harm himself. He made the same statement to us. He said he asked us to shoot him. The court heard this. While the 68-year-old has had no prior offenses for failing to answer bail, he did spend time in prison from 2010 to 2012 after being convicted of conspiring to hijack a truckload of cigarettes. Magistrate Jason Ang eventually denied bail and ordered Fabrizi to appear in Cour Magistratis Court on an undetermined date. In a statement released on behalf of the Picks family, they said that after nearly 24 years of pain, questioning, and uncertainty, they had never given up hope of finding out who was responsible for this heinous act. Only Irma was taken from us, but Gregor's life all but ended on that night, and ours have never been the same, they said outside the court. Detective Superintendent Scott Marer from the ACT Police said this arrest was immensely satisfying for investigators. The family of Irma Picks never gave up hope, never ceased asking for community assistance, and always worked to keep the case in people's minds, he said. Marer said police were continuing to work to identify and charge a second suspect and believe it is only a matter of time before this occurs. I am confident it is only a matter of time before we are able to provide full closure for the family and the Canberra community, Marer said. The $500,000 reward offer remains active, and information received can still be considered for this reward. Furthermore, investigators released an image of a man they believe may have information on what happened to Irma. In July 1980, the remains of an unknown man were discovered in a wooden crate in the Chicago Greater Area Sanitary and Shipping Canal. The crate containing the body had been removed using heavy equipment, along with other debris from a grate that prevents objects from flowing and blowing into the power plant. The crate broke open sometime during removal and dumping by power plant employees. The body was found by an employee a couple of days later, looking for driftwood. Advanced decomposition made identification difficult. Items recovered along with the remains included several. Vehicle key investigators determined that someone had taken the unknown man's life, as his autopsy revealed that he had been shot in the abdomen with a shotgun and then multiple times with a handgun. Investigators suspected that the man had lost his life several days before the discovery of his body. Investigators believed that the unknown white male was between 25 and 35 years old at the time his life was taken. They estimated that he was 5'11" and tall and weighed approximately 175 libs. Investigators observed that he had a light brown to blonde hair that was approximately 2 inches in length at the time of discovery. The man was wearing dark blue work pants that had a laundry marked Gym 5, a green pullover t-shirt with pocket wool socks, and a single dark-colored herringbone house slipper. Partial fingerprints were recovered from the body. They were submitted to both state and federal databases for comparison, but failed to match anyone. Some dental evidence was developed, but did not match any known missing persons. For over 4 decades, law enforcement has diligently pursued. In November 2009, his case was entered into the National Missing and Unidentified Person System, and Stoddard testing was performed, but there was no match for anyone. Despite exhaustive efforts from law enforcement, the man's identity has remained a mystery, with few leads for investigators to pursue. The case eventually went cold in 2022 when the Will County Coroner Office, as part of a long-standing collaboration with AAM, decided to leverage forensic genetic genealogy to see if they could establish an identity for the man or a close relative. Will County Coroner's Office has contributed substantial funding towards the testing for this case, and the rest of the needed funding was crowdfunded using the DNA-Solve platform. Skeletal evidence was sent to AAM, and a suitable DNA extract was developed. AAM scientists used forensic-grade genome sequencing to build a comprehensive DNA profile, and AAM's in-house genetic genealogy research team used the profile to develop investigative leads. The leads were returned to the law enforcement and a follow-up investigation, along with confirmation DNA testing of a family member, confirmed that the 1980 victim was Webster Pfizer, born September 25, 1950. The Will County Carer's Office announced on March 22, 2023, that the remains belonged to 29-year-old Webster from Chicago. Sergeant Mike Ernest said obviously, there were a lot of mob-related crimes back in that era, and a lot of those came into Will County. So is that a possibility we will explore? Yes, it is something I can say for certain, but I do not. Webster's wife recently told investigators that her husband left home in mid-July 1980 to get cigarettes at a gasoline station about a block away, but never returned. Relatives said Webster was eventually reported missing to the Chicago Police Department. Joe Piper, a deputy coroner and cold case investigator with the Will County Coroner's Office, said this gentleman is somebody's father, somebody's uncle, somebody's brother, and it is nice to be able to give the family some kind of closure because they are looking and wondering what ever happened to their loved one. Battle Creek, located in southwest Michigan, is a welcoming town celebrated for its friendly neighborhoods and robust economic industry. As a thriving community in the United States, it boasts a diverse population of residents. Among those residents was an innocent 21-year-old girl named Ashley Parlier in the year 2005, a year that would forever change the course of her life. Ashley Parlier was born on October 16, 1983, to Sherry and Russell Parlier. She grew up as a shy and quiet child, with only a few close friends. Her family had always been concerned about her trusting and naive nature. Ashley's older sister, Nicole Campan, remembered her as a trusting soul who believed in the inherent goodness of people. Ashley saw the world through a lens of positivity, always hoping for the best in others. Ashley, with her brown eyes and a beautiful smile that showcased her crooked teeth, graduated from Battle Creek Central High School and found employment at the nearest Taco Bell restaurant located on Northeast Capitol Avenue. At the age of 21, she was a lean and petite girl, weighing just 100 pounds. Her mental capacity was estimated to be that of a 12 to 14-year-old, which made her particularly vulnerable. In 2005, Ashley's life took a tragic turn. She found herself pregnant, a fact that deeply worried her parents, Russell and Sherry Parlier. They urged her to see a doctor and receive prenatal care, but Ashley resisted their intervention. Frustrated and upset, she left her family's home in Bedford Township, a neighborhood called Urbandale in Battle Creek, on June 12, 2005. All she had with her was $700, which she had been saving to purchase a car. Little did her family know that this would be the last time they saw her. Initially, her family assumed she had gone to a friend's house to blow off steam and expected her to return soon. However, as days turned into weeks without any sign of Ashley, their worry grew. Finally, about a week later, they decided to report her missing to the police. The authorities released information about Ashley's physical appearance, describing her as 5 feet 9 inches tall and last seen wearing a checkered shirt and blue jeans paired with brown leather sandals. The police received several tips from the public, indicating sightings of Ashley in different parts of the city, with a focus on the Houghton Lake area. Unfortunately, all these leads turned out to be dead ends, leaving her family increasingly anxious. As the investigation continued, suspicion turned toward Ashley's parents, who had not immediately reported her disappearance. Her father agreed to take a polygraph test and was cleared of any wrongdoing. However, Ashley's mother, Sherry, who was showing signs of Huntington's disease, declined to undergo the polygraph. Nicole, Ashley's sister, defended their parents, explaining that the family had been embroiled in an argument, and they assumed Ashley needed time to process things and would return soon. In their small Michigan town, sudden disappearances were rare, and they never imagined it would take years to uncover the truth. The police also looked into Ashley's ex-boyfriend, suspecting him to be the father of her unborn child. However, their investigation did not yield any conclusive evidence tying him to the crime. Despite their dedicated efforts, the police could not find any leads, suspects, or evidence related to Ashley's disappearance, and the case eventually went cold. In March 2021, officers renewed their efforts to uncover the truth about Ashley's disappearance. Detectives from various law enforcement agencies, including the Calhoun County Sheriff's Department and the Michigan State Police, joined the investigation. Sheriff Steve Hinckley even informed the media about the extensive efforts made to solve the case, including trips to California, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. A breakthrough in the case came unexpectedly when Pennsylvania law enforcement contacted Calhoun County officers in January 2021. They had found a lead in Ashley Parlier's case while questioning Harold David Holman III, a 44-year-old serial killer, about the murders of 2 other women, Tiana Phillips and Erica Schultz. Holman, seeking to avoid the death penalty, requested that all 3 cases be merged, shocking the detectives who had not previously connected him to Ashley's disappearance. Further investigation revealed that Holman had committed another horrific murder, this time admitting to killing Ashley Parlier. All that remained were the answers and reasons behind this heinous crime. Harold David Holman III was born on November 29, 1978, and had lived in Germany during his late teenage years. His criminal tendencies emerged when he was just 20 years old. On May 30, 1999, Holman was sitting around a campfire when he attacked Joseph Whitehurst, a 21-year-old son of an Air Force colonel. Holman felt threatened by Joseph's dancing and brutally assaulted him. Joseph was initially thought to be missing, but was later found outside Ramstein Air Base, bludgeoned to death with a club found at the crime scene. Holman's admission to this crime occurred after he was arrested for an unrelated offense and confessed to Joseph's murder. In Germany, Holman was tried as a juvenile, receiving a 6-year term at a reform school. After returning to the United States, he pursued a career as a truck driver. Holman's partial confession about Ashley's murder led to the Calhoun County Police Department taking over the case. It was revealed that Holman had been a resident of Battle Creek between 2002 and 2009, and he had crossed paths with Ashley at a bowling alley. To everyone's shock, it was confirmed that Holman was the father of Ashley's unborn child. During further interrogation, Holman disclosed chilling details of Ashley's last moments. He revealed that after her argument with her parents, Ashley had come to his house in Emmett Township, Michigan on the evening of June 13, 2005, seeking help for a pregnancy test. An argument escalated, and Holman violently assaulted Ashley, rendering her unconscious. He then transported her to the Pennsylvania hills, where he brutally bludgeoned her to death. Holman used a log to carry out the gruesome act and left her lifeless body in an overgrown field in Newton Township, 10 miles from town. He returned home, took a shower, and disposed of his bloody clothing at his workplace. Holman claimed that he felt deep remorse after killing Ashley and drowned his guilt in alcohol for weeks. He even revisited the location years later, finding only her skeletal remains. Holman's confession revealed his fascination with serial killers, particularly citing the influence of movies like Silence of the Lambs and the character Hannibal Lecter. When asked which homicide he remembered the most, he replied that he could vividly recall all of them, and admitted that had he not been apprehended, he would have continued to kill. Holman, who had been diagnosed with schizophrenia, revealed that he had planned to kill again after several years. On June 13, 2018, he targeted a new victim, a mother of 2 children named Tiana Phillips, who subsequently disappeared without a trace. Similarly, on December 6, 2020, Erica Schultz, a 26-year-old autistic woman, had arranged to meet an online date named Dave. The date went awry, and Erica went missing, prompting her worried family and friends to contact the police. Law enforcement examined Erica's contact history and identified Holman as the prime suspect. On December 27, 2020, a Norfolk Southern police officer arrested him along railroad tracks in Duncannon, Pennsylvania, with a self-inflicted wound. Holman expressed a desire to die for his sins and confessed to the murders of Schultz and Phillips. While receiving medical treatment in the hospital, he was subsequently sent to jail. In jail, Holman wrote a letter to his ex-wife, providing a chilling account of his brutal actions in killing Tiana Phillips. He expressed that there was no real reason to kill Tiana other than seeking the rush he experienced during his murders. Holman nonchalantly described it as, "just like another day in the park." It became evident that Holman was not an ordinary criminal. He followed a distinct pattern in his killings. He would incapacitate his victims with blunt force trauma to the head, ensuring they were unconscious before attacking them. He would then dispose of their bodies without burying them and revisit the remains months later. Calhoun County Sheriff's Department Detective John Pignataro noted that Holman did not maintain a permanent address in Pennsylvania in 2021 and attributed his actions to a failed marriage. Holman held a distorted belief in alpha and non-alpha individuals, referring to a master-submissive dynamic. He believed that when his wife did not submit to him, he sought that dynamic in extramarital affairs. In a surprising turn of events, Holman eventually offered an apology to the Parlier family. He stated that he regretted Ashley's murder more than any other, but Nicole, Ashley's sister, could not accept an apology from a serial killer who had not only taken her sister's life, but also claimed 3 other innocent victims. Despite identifying the killer, Ashley remained missing, and her family continued to suffer. In an attempt to locate Ashley's remains, the police asked Holman to lead them to the area where he had left her body. As part of a plea deal with the Luzerne County District Attorney's Office, Holman agreed to cooperate in finding Ashley's remains in exchange for avoiding the death penalty. He guided Calhoun County Police to a wooded area at 6.5 Mile Road in Newton Township, south of Battle Creek. Despite the involvement of nearly 24 officers in a search on March 30, 2022, her body could not be located. Residents of the area recalled that the land had been farmland in 2005, but it had since been subdivided and sold to different property owners. Holman's inability to pinpoint the exact location where he had left Ashley's body frustrated the search efforts. Nevertheless, the police remained determined not to give up on finding her. In July 2021, Holman was charged with the murder of 21-year-old Ashley Parlier. Faced with the possibility of the death penalty, he pleaded guilty to the murders of Schultz and Phillips in September 2021, ultimately receiving 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole. Lucerne County President Judge Michael T. Val denounced Holman as evil for taking the lives of these innocent women for no reason. He described Holman's actions as unprecedented in his 30-year career. In February 2023, Holman pleaded guilty to the second-degree murder of Ashley Parlier. He was sentenced to 37.5 to 60 years in prison during his trial on April 10, 2023. Nicole, on behalf of her family, delivered a victim impact statement during Holman's trial. She was joined by the older sisters of other victims from Pennsylvania who had connected with her through a Facebook group called Bring Ashley Home. They found solace in their shared grief and vowed to remember their sisters for their goodness and kindness, not the man who took their lives. Calhoun County Sheriff Steve Hinckley continued to seek any information that could aid in resolving Ashley Parlier's case, which finally received some closure after 18 years of uncertainty and anguish. While Ashley's family may never fully recover from the tragedy, the identification and sentencing of her killer brought a sense of justice to a grieving community that had searched tirelessly for answers.